Make this poster on Procreate in few easy steps. Anyone can follow along because I will guide you step by step, and I will also give you a freebie containing the base typography, stamps to create the composition, and a color palette. We will start by creating the composition with the stems, then I'll introduce you to the power of masks, and then we will paint the illustration, add shadows and lights. The freebie I'm giving you is part of our set, the Decorative Lettering Illustration Toolkit, a set that contains more than 240 elements including illustration stems, texture brushes and extras. And in the end of the video, I'll be using it to give an extra texture punch to the piece. And lastly, a little note, if you don't have Procreate, you can follow the same coloring techniques using any other app. Let's do this. The first thing I want you to do is to go to shoutbam.com and download the freebies by becoming a member of our newsletter. Now, when you import the Procreate file, you're gonna see this poster composition. There's gonna be two layers, one for the guidelines and the other one for the letters. Now, I also want you to import these 3 free stamps because they are the only ones that I'm gonna be using today for the tutorial. But if you have the complete set, you can also play along and just, stamp whatever you feel like stamping. Also, if you have other stamps by other designers or you made your own, you can also use those. Then when it comes to brushes, I'll be using mainly a couple native brushes from Procreate under the airbrushing panel and the calligraphy panel. Now, these are the premium brushes included in our new set, but you will not be using them up until the end of the tutorial. So yeah, let's get started. Now, select the composition 04. Here are the predefined sizes that you can choose from. Now go to the layers panel, tap on the plus sign, create a new layer, and we're gonna rename it. I'm putting stamp number 1. Now, I want you to import as well the color palette I'm giving you. And if you have the complete set, you're gonna have 10 of those. But anyway, let's use this one. And I'm gonna select this dark color. And now I'm just gonna stamp. So I'm gonna see what size fits best. Probably a little bigger. There you go. I think something like that is gonna work. Now go to the transform tool. I'm gonna choose uniform so it doesn't deform. And now I'm gonna make it a bit smaller. And I'm gonna turn off the snapping settings, so the magnetics and the snapping, so I have more freedom when I rotate it. I'm gonna rotate it using this green handle. And I'm gonna place it somewhere around here. Okay, now when you're happy with the position of this flower, we are gonna go and stamp the second of the stems, which is the hand. Now you can see that these stems have been made using vectors, so they are gonna be super crisp. Okay, so now create a new layer. You can name it as well. You can put, I don't know, stamp 2, for example. And then I'm gonna select the hand. Also play with sizes, and I'm gonna stamp it somewhere here. Gonna move it around. So now this hand is perfect for grabbing little flowers or little, objects. If you have the set, you're gonna see that there's a lot of compatible stamps that actually can interact with different hands. But anyway, now you're gonna see that depending on the size of the stamps, the lines are gonna be thicker or thinner, and you want this to be regular throughout the whole composition. So I've just duplicated the hand, and now with one finger, using the transform tool, I'm moving it to the right. Now, again, duplicate it, and now to the left with one finger, I'm tapping. By tapping just one time, the lines will move slightly and it won't look wonky. So remember, left once and then to the right. Okay, now let's add another stamp that's gonna cover some blank spaces. I'm gonna name this stamp 3. Now I'm gonna put this leaf. And I'm gonna make it smaller. Now you're gonna see that when I make it smaller, the lines also become smaller. So I'm gonna use the same technique. Let's do it again. Duplicate. Now transform tool, one tap to the right, pinch it. Now duplicate it again, and one tap to the left, and pinch it together. Okay, now more or less the lines are the same. Obviously not exactly the same, but that will do. Okay, so now I'm gonna see, maybe here I can put one. Maybe I'm gonna move it there. Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it here, and then I'll put another one. Like they are kind of like falling from the flower or something. Okay, cool. Great. Now I'm gonna pinch these 3 leaves together, and I'm gonna create another layer. And now here again, you can play with other shapes if you have the set, or if you have other stems. Like for example, these banners kind of look cool when they intertwine with hands. But yeah, now let's go ahead and go to the calligraphy brush panel, the native brushes. And on a new layer, I'm gonna draw a circle without lifting the pencil, so it becomes a perfect circle. Now I'm gonna move it slightly here. And our composition now is done. Great. Now I'm gonna select every stamp layer, and I'm gonna tap on them and put mask. So tap, mask, tap, mask, and the last one, mask. Now masks are perfect so you don't destroy your artwork. So let me show you. Select a white color by tapping twice near the white and twice near the black. Now select a calligraphy brush, whichever you want. Now I'm gonna zoom in and I'm gonna show you the power of this. So go to the mask, select the mask, not the layer. And with the black color, you see that now I'm erasing. Now when I select the white color, I'm bringing the line back. So it's the perfect way so we don't destroy our lines and we can step back all the time. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is to cover the lines that are on top of certain objects. So for example, that finger is slightly behind the branch and the other one slightly on top of it. Now I'm also covering some parts of the hand that are behind that leaf. Also this here. Okay, so now I'll do the same but with the sun. Sorry, I have to rename it that I didn't do it. Now select the mask. Great. Okay, give me a couple seconds to see if I'm missing something. I think everything seems okay. Okay, let me though go to the selection tool, the freehand, and I'm gonna go to the hand and move these hand lines a little bit. And oh wait, I think, yeah, there's one I was missing. Okay, great, that's it. Now I'm just gonna show you that you can also draw your own stuff on top of these stems. So I'm going to the hand and I'm actually not selecting the mask but the layer, and I'm going to draw a little circle, like the hand is sort of like cut, sort of like the plant. Gonna do a circle here, maybe a little bit thicker. Just want to kind of like give, yeah, I just want to close the shape of the hand and kind of make it go well with the plant. Okay, so I'll do it something like this. And now go to the mask. I'll mask this out. Great. Going back to the layer again. And now with the script brush as before, I'm gonna finish that shape. Well, I'm gonna close it up. Great, that's it. Now it's done. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to the layers panel and I'm gonna swipe to the right all the layers and I'm gonna group them. Now you can rename this if you want, but you don't have to. And then I'm gonna create a new layer. I'm gonna rename it and I'm gonna put color base. Now what I'm gonna do is to go to the hand stamp, tap on it, and then I'm gonna tap on reference. Okay, this will allow me to drop colors on the new layer we created, but they will kind of be boxed inside the shape of the flower without us painting the actual flower, right? So we have the lines on top referencing the color layer under. Now, if you have the last Procreate version, you're gonna see that there's a little panel up that says color drop continue filling. Tap on it. So now you can just paint like this. You can just tap and the color will appear instead of, dropping a color every time. So yeah, if it's not showing up, please make sure to update to the last Procreate version because that's gonna save you a lot of time and we're gonna be using this feature a lot in this tutorial. I sort of remember that before we had to drop every color all the time and that was kind of a pain. So yeah, cool feature. Now, if you select another color, you can still use the tool without going out of it. So yeah, just finish these leaves with this green. Now go to the hand layer and again do the same. Tap on the layer and then reference. Now create another layer under so the colors are not together in the same layer. And now I'm gonna do the nails with something lighter. There you go. Cool. Now let's go tap on the leaf layer and make it a reference, and then you can use the same layer to color it as the hand. And I'll color these leaves using this blue. I'm not using the blue that much on purpose, so it gives us a little contrast across the whole composition in the leaves. So yeah. Now painting the branch inside in this yellow color. Same here, sorry. Yeah, sometimes when these spaces are so tight, it's kind of hard to put the color. You could also just, grab a normal brush and paint without using the color fill. So yeah, I sort of now want to do it. Okay, that will do. Now I'm gonna select the blue again and finish up these leaves. Now this one up. Great. Now I'll finish up the flower and its stems. So I'll go to the flower stem. I'm gonna make it a reference again. And then I'll start painting this using the same layer as the flower before. Now I'm gonna put yellow around here. And for now, I'm going to be using this green to color up the stems. Actually, I'm gonna put it on a new layer under the flower colors. Yeah, that's just personal. I kind of feel like they have to be separated. So, when I do shadows, it's gonna be a little bit less complicated. All right. Almost done here. Oops. Okay. Good, now I'm done. Now I'm gonna select a darker yellow and I'm gonna paint this space inside. Well, this should be actually green, so I'm just gonna paint it. Great. And now I'm selecting the flower. I see a little empty space there. Okay. Great. Okay, now I just need to go to paint the sun. For that, I'm just gonna use the same yellow that I used before. I'm gonna go to the sun layer and I'm gonna make it a reference again. Now I'm gonna go down, well, probably in another layer, not the hand one. I'll actually make a new one under the hand color and I'm gonna paint the sun. Great, well, colors are done. Let's do some shadows now. Now I'm actually changing my mind and I'm gonna pinch all the colors together. So when we do shadows, we don't have to, go from one layer to the other. Create a new layer on top of the colors, tap on it and tap on clipping mask. This will be the layer for our shadows. So every color we put here is gonna be inside the color that we have under. So now I'm going to select for the shadows a black tone. And now I'm gonna set up this layer to multiply mode. Yeah, multiply mode. And then I'm gonna bring also its opacity down. So this will give us some sort of like the same tone as the yellow, but with less light. So there you go. Now this will take a while, so I'll just leave you with the video and I'll concentrate to do some nice shadows. I'll see you in a second. Great, we're done with it. So I know this takes a long time, but it's actually very cool to see that the illustration pops a little. Now let's do some lights. Now I'm gonna select a white color, and then I'll create a new layer, tap on it, and make it a clipping mask. And now I'm gonna change the mode to overlay. I'll bring the opacity down, and I'll start with my lights. Great, so now if you follow these places that I'm adding the lights, it's gonna give you the right amount of brightness to the illustration, and you're gonna see that when you finish this part, it's gonna be awesome. So now, again, just when it comes to the opacity, you can play and bring it up and down depending on what you want to achieve. And also when it comes to the mode, you can, use overlay as I said to you, but you can also use other modes and just try what fits you best. The one that is add also looks pretty cool, and the lights look really, really alive. So yeah, just keep trying and see what fits you best. Okay, so now we're done with the shadows and the lights. Now, before I start the second part with the textures and all that, I'm gonna create a new layer, set it to multiply, and then opacity around like 90-80%. Then again with the black color, I'm just gonna do some lines here super randomly. You don't have to follow much, logic to do this. This is gonna give us a nice looking shadowy effect, because these stems are going off of the plant. So you're gonna see that now. Well, this is probably a little bit too dark, but yeah, just do some lines. I think this is the last one. Now I'm gonna just bring the opacity more down, probably because 80 was a bit too much. And yeah, we are done with shadows and lights. Now this is the second part of the tutorial, and I'm going to be using some of the textures included in the decorative lettering illustration set. If you don't have it, you can also get some free textures at shoutbam.com from different sets that we've done in the past, and you can also follow along with other textures that you may have. Okay, now I'm gonna create a clipping mask on top of those lights, and I'll start experimenting with some brushes. First, I'm gonna use some rough inkers. This one is the Distressed Inker 02. The more you add pressure, the more texture is gonna give you. I'm gonna change the mode into overlay, for example. And now you see that I'm kind of adding secondary lights with textures that were sourced out of real paint. Okay, so now I'll put some more here and over here. Now I'm gonna use the Inker 03, well, the 02 first. So it gives me less texture than before. And then you can also use the 03, which is gonna give you even less. Great. Okay, so now I'm gonna use my favorite one, which is the Tree Line Gritty. And this one is gonna give you like this super dry brush effect. And every time that you have a stroke, it's gonna give you 3 lines. So probably now here I'm gonna select a green color, so it gives me, a little variation in this green, and it makes it a little bit more interesting. So I'm not gonna overdo it, because otherwise I would just be covering up first green. But I'll put it here and there, so kind of gives me this nice change. A little bit here. Great. Now I'll do the same but with the blue leaves. So I'm gonna select a lighter blue, and I'm gonna give some lines here and there. These are super small, so I'm not gonna overdo it. Great. And now just a little bit more light to this sun. Okay, that's gonna do it. Great, so now I'm gonna go to the brushes again, and these are the gritty shaders that I'm not gonna be using today, but I've used them to do this illustration. So let me know in the comments if you would like a tutorial in the future on how to do this illustration using these shaders. So we'll go directly into the handmade patterns, and I'll choose some of them to show you what you can do with these patterns or with any pattern you may have. So here I pick the cracked earth, and on a new layer, making it to clipping mask, and change the mode to overlay and select the white color. And now I'm gonna spray this seamless pattern on top. Now I'm gonna select an eraser from the calligraphy brush panel, for example, and I'm just gonna erase these parts of the pattern that went on top of the stems. Now, usually I wouldn't put a pattern on a hand per se, but I think I'll use one to see how it looks like. So I'm gonna see how the shattered decay or this grunge trifecta look like on a new layer, setting it to multiply and clipping mask, and see what happens here. I'll probably change it up for this hipster blast. I call it hipster because sort of like I see these shapes everywhere now. So yeah, I'm just gonna put them around here, setting it to clipping mask. Remember to set all these textures into clipping mask and keep stacking clipping masks on top of each other. Now again, I'm erasing the parts of the pattern that I don't want to be shown. On the nails as well, and on the sun. You can also try to add some patterns on the sun, or like literally you can experiment with these brushes as much as you want. Great, and now I'll do another clipping mask. And here I'm gonna see if something with overlay works. I'm gonna grab the acid droplets and I'm gonna put it on the plant. Obviously this is too lit up, so I'm gonna change the mode. Right now I'm just experimenting, so I'm not gonna tell you exactly what I'm doing. I'm just gonna change color into maybe some dark green. And now I'll change modes and see what looks best. But yeah, when you're satisfied with one, just here, for example, I'll bring the opacity down so it's not that visible, but it's still there. And it kind of looks like, you know, there's a lot of plants in the nature that have like these, you know, supernatural patterns. So these patterns were kind of made, you know, thinking about, you know, those plants that have these sort of patterns, or like even those, you know, the poisonous frogs that also have like this super cool sort of paint on top of them. But yeah, I think I'm done with the patterns. Great. So now that we're done with this, I'll probably go to the bottom and I'm gonna select a yellow color, and to the bottom of the brushes, and I'm gonna select a texture stamp. Those are also real paints that I did a month ago, and I'm just gonna put, yeah, so at the bottom of everything, I'm gonna set up a new layer, and I'm just gonna stamp this extendo that I called it. It's this like paint, super long stroke of paint, and I'm just gonna move it around so it gives, you know, like a cool, sort of like impactful diagonally composition to the whole thing. Great. Great, so now I'm gonna go on top of everything and I'm gonna insert one of the 10 papers that are included in the set. So right now I'm importing this one that is sort of reddish, and it's gonna give me a nice grainy texture to the whole thing. So I'm gonna change the mode into multiply, and now I'll go to adjustments and curves, and I'll add a second dot here and I'll move it around a bit so I get a little bit more of mid lights. Now on a new layer on top of everything again, I'm gonna select the wavy grid, and with a white color I'm just gonna spray it here and there so I get this sort of like old print feeling. You know, if you were to print something and you know, after the years sort of like it would lose color in certain parts. So that's a little bit what I'm going for here. And now finally I'm gonna create a new layer on top of everything, and with a dark color I'll use some more brushes inside the sprayers category. So here I'm adding some fingerprints, and then probably I'll add this leaf blast. Just make it, gonna bring opacity down and bring it a little bit, yeah, make it a little bit bigger, put it here and there. Now bring the opacity down so it's not super visible, but it gives, you know, a little bit of dirt as well. So play with modes, just bring the opacity down, and done. We are done with this tutorial. I'm aware there's some kerning problems at the bottom of the typography, and that's why you found it fixed in the Procreate file you downloaded. Anyway, thank you so much for following along. It's been 50 minutes and I hope you learned something new today. It would mean the world if you subscribe to the channel and gave a thumbs up to this video. If you want to get the rest of the stem, brushes and extras and also support us, go check the Decorative Lettering Illustration Toolkit using the link below. Also, let us know in the comments what would you like to learn next, and if you want to keep learning, maybe you can check one of these two videos. See you next time. Stay colorful.